Basketball is a game of moments. For some, they arrive early, carried by talent and opportunity. For others, they come after struggle, persistence, and preparation. In the WNBA, Lexie Hull's 2024 season was about the latter, a 6th overall pick. In 2022, Hull had dominated at Stanford, but in Indiana, she was a bench warmer. Minutes were scarce, rotations confusing, and doubts whispered everywhere. Could she fulfill her promise or fade into obscurity? Then came Caitlin Clark. Her arrival changed everything. Clark's vision and energy drew defenses, opened lanes, and created opportunities Hull had never seen before. Cuts that once led nowhere now ended in points. Confidence replaced uncertainty, and Hull's game flourished. The fever began to rise. Wins piled up, practices gained intensity, and team culture shifted. Locker room rituals, mutual support, and playful traditions built bonds that reinforced performance. Fans noticed, arenas filled. Indianapolis had a team to cheer for again. Hull's journey became a story of perseverance, meeting opportunity. From a sidelined prospect to a key contributor, she embodied resilience, preparation, and belief. The Indiana Fever weren't just surviving, they were thriving. And Hull proved that greatness often waits in the shadows. Ready to be unleashed, Lexie Hull's story begins long before the bright lights of the WNBA. In a household where basketball was more than a game, it was a language, a tradition, a way of life born into a family where the sport ran through the veins of generations. Lexie was surrounded by examples of dedication and talent. Her grandfather had played basketball, her father had competed at the collegiate level, and her twin sister shared in the joys, challenges, and countless hours of backyard hoops. Growing up in such a competitive family, Lexie learned early that talent alone was never enough. Discipline, focus, and an unrelenting work ethic were equally essential. Yet her parents were equally determined that she and her sister experience a well-rounded childhood. From soccer to swimming, from track to tennis, Lexie tried her hand at nearly every sport, absorbing lessons that would later shape her versatility on the court. But basketball was always the magnetic force drawing her back. By the time she reached high school, it was clear that Lexie's potential extended far beyond casual promise. Her combination of height, agility, and basketball IQ marked her as a prodigy. Yet it was her relentless curiosity and willingness to learn that distinguished her from peers. Practices were not just drills. They were laboratories where she experimented, studied, and refined. Every missed shot was a lesson. Every defensive lapse an opportunity to improve. When Lexie arrived at Stanford, she quickly cemented herself as a cornerstone of one of the most storied programs in women's college basketball. The trophies and accolades accumulated, but what mattered most was the consistency, the reliability, and the quiet leadership she displayed both on and off the court. Her college career became a blueprint of excellence. High basketball IQ, versatile playmaking, and the ability to elevate teammates. Yet, even as success followed, Lexie's mindset remained anchored in humility and preparation. She understood that the leap from college to professional basketball was immense. The speed of the game, the experience of opponents, and the expectations of fans created pressures unlike anything she had faced before. But, if anything, her background had prepared her for resilience. Years of structured training, friendly sibling rivalries, and family-driven competition had instilled a mindset that success was earned, not granted. And so, when the Indiana Fever drafted her 6th overall in 2022, the excitement was tempered by realism. Lexie knew the professional world would challenge her in ways Stanford never could. What she didn't anticipate, however, was the magnitude of that challenge and the way the early months of her WNBA career would test every ounce of patience and perseverance she had cultivated. Being drafted 6th overall is a dream for any player. For Lexie Hull, it was a validation of years of preparation, sweat, and sacrifice. But as the bright lights of the WNBA illuminated the court for the first time, Hull quickly realized that potential alone would not guarantee playing time or respect. The early months in Indiana were brutal. Despite her college accolades, she struggled to crack the regular rotation. Role players and even lesser-known talents found themselves ahead of her in the pecking order, while Lexie sat on the bench, draped in a towel, absorbing each minute from afar. The discrepancy between expectation and reality was stark, and the mental toll was profound. It was tough, Lexie admitted in interviews. At the beginning of the season, my playing time was almost non-existent. But I knew I had to trust the process, stay ready, and make the most of every opportunity that came my way. The WNBA is a league of extraordinary talent, where every player was once the star of their college or high school team. Even the most gifted athletes must adjust to playing alongside other top-tier talent while facing opponents who have already navigated the professional game for years. The adjustment is both physical and psychological, a challenge that demands patience, focus, and resilience. Hull's struggle was compounded by the team's own difficulties. The Indiana Fever stumbled to a 1-8 record in the early season, a losing streak that frustrated players, fans, and coaches alike. Headlines criticized poor rotations, leaky defense, and zero chemistry. The team appeared adrift, and the pressure in the locker room was palpable. "I remember feeling sick after so many losses," Lexie said. "We all knew we were capable of more, and the frustration was everywhere." Yet, in the midst of disappointment, Hull refused to surrender to doubt. While her minutes were limited, she devoted herself to refining every aspect of her game. Cutting, shooting, and defensive positioning became daily rituals, even without opportunities in the spotlight. She trusted that preparation would eventually meet its moment. The mental challenge of being on the sidelines cannot be overstated. Watching teammates take minutes she knew she deserved and enduring questions from fans and media about her potential, Hull had to find ways to remain focused. Her solution was simple but powerful. Stay ready, stay confident, and trust that hard work pays off when the chance arrives. In these early struggles, Lexie Hull's resilience was forged. While the stat sheet showed few results, the groundwork for a transformation was quietly taking shape. She was learning not just how to survive in the WNBA, but how to prepare to thrive when the opportunity came knocking. The 2024 Indiana Fever were a team in crisis. From the outside, it might have looked like a simple losing streak, but inside the locker room, the atmosphere was tense, uncertain, and heavy with frustration. Every missed shot, every blown rotation, every late-game lapse amplified the pressure. For a young player like Lexie Hull, the environment was a crucible, testing not only her physical abilities but her mental fortitude. The early season was defined by miscommunication on the court and lack of cohesion off it. Practices that were meant to sharpen skills instead felt like endless drills with little purpose. Players were talented deach, capable of dominating at the collegiate level, but blending that talent into a cohesive professional unit proved far more challenging than anyone anticipated. Fans and media were quick to take note. Headlines criticized the coaching strategy, questioning rotations and defensive schemes. Social media buzzed with frustration and doubt. Every loss became a talking point. Every sloppy game a reason to question whether the Fever could ever reclaim relevance in the league. Lexie Hull, sitting on the sidelines, witnessed it all firsthand. "We were sick of losing," she reflected. "We knew we were better than what the record showed. But when you're not getting minutes, it's hard to feel like you can change things." The strain wasn't just external. Within the locker room, morale fluctuated. Veteran players and rookies alike felt the weight of expectation versus performance. The team lacked an anchor, someone whose leadership could channel talent into results. Practices were battles of endurance and patience, and every game carried a mounting sense of urgency. Yet, in adversity lies opportunity. Hull's role during this period was as much about mental resilience as basketball skill. She learned, and she refined her approach to the game. Every moment on the bench was a chance to study rotations, anticipate plays, and prepare for the opportunity she knew would eventually arrive. "I just focused on staying ready," Lexie said. "Even if my minutes were few, I wanted to make sure that when I did step on the court, I could contribute fully." Her preparation was meticulous. Every practice became a laboratory, perfecting cuts, working on mid-range jumpers, and understanding spacing. Even in the shadows, Hull's work ethic remained undiminished, a quiet defiance against the narrative that she might fade away. Meanwhile, the Fever's struggles illuminated the need for transformation beyond any single player. The team required not only skill, but vision, leadership, and a spark to unify a roster of stars into a functioning, competitive unit, and that spark would arrive in the form of Caitlin Clark, whose presence would soon ignite a transformation that no one in Indiana or the league would forget. Sometimes, in sports, one player can change everything, not just by scoring points, but by elevating everyone around them. For the Indiana Fever in 2024, that player was Caitlin Clark. a prodigy with a reputation for brilliance on the court. Clark arrived in Indiana not just as a scorer, but as a transformative presence whose energy, vision, and leadership would redefine the team. For Lexie Hull, Clark's arrival was nothing short of a lifeline. Where Hull had once been relegated to the bench, watching opportunities pass her by, the dynamic changed almost immediately. Clark's court vision was extraordinary. Threads, passes through impossibly tight windows, draws defenders like a magnet, and creates open spaces for teammates to exploit. Suddenly, Hull was no longer invisible. She was integral, moving into positions she had never reached before, ready to receive the ball and convert opportunities. "It was a revelation," Hull said. "She's making passes I didn't even think or possible. Every cut I make now has a real chance to result in a play." Clark's presence did more than shift tactics. It altered the Fever's identity. Practices gained urgency and intensity. Scrimmages turned into competitive wars, not rehearsals. If a set broke down, Clark demanded accountability. Her insistence on excellence set a tone that rippled through the roster. Players who once questioned their roles found themselves energized. Rising to meet a new standard, everything changed when Caitlin walked in, Hull explained. Practices had juice again, and suddenly the team felt alive. She doesn't just play, she makes everyone around her better. Her impact was measurable on and off the stat sheet. Hull's opportunities increased, her minutes expanded, and her confidence soared. Whereas before she had waited for scraps, she now became a central piece of the offense. Every cut, every fast break, every open look became a chance to shine, and Hull took full advantage. Her shooting percentages climbing steadily as she became a reliable contributor. Clark's leadership extended beyond the court. She cultivated an environment of trust and accountability where mistakes were corrected, but not criticized harshly. Teammates felt empowered to play boldly, knowing they were supported. Hull recalls the sense of security and belief that permeated the locker room. She keeps you confident and positive. If I miss, she's the first to say, "You've got the next one." That's huge for a point guard, for a team. The synergy between Clark and Hull became a microcosm of the Fever's transformation. Clark's gravity on offense freed Hull to exploit open lanes, make smart cuts, and find rhythm in her game. Every pass, every play became a demonstration of basketball intelligence meeting opportunity. And as Hull flourished, so too did the team. Indiana's offense, once stagnant and predictable, now hummed with energy, precision, and excitement. Clark's influence proved that in professional sports, transformation often begins with one player's vision, energy, and leadership. For Hull, it was the spark she had been waiting for, validating years of preparation and perseverance. And for the Indiana Fever, it marked the turning point in a season that had once seemed destined for disappointment. While Caitlin Clark's arrival ignited the Indiana Fever, the transformation was equally rooted in Lexie Hull's relentless work, ethic, and personal resolve. The opportunity was there, but seizing it required more than talent. It demanded focus, preparation, and a mental toughness honed over years of competition. Hull's revival didn't happen overnight. She spent countless hours refining her game, paying attention to the finer details that separate good players from great ones. Her cuts became sharper, her footwork more precise, and her jumper more consistent. Even small adjustments, changes in angle, timing, and positioning translated into noticeable improvements on the court. During the Olympic break, Hull embraced an intensive month of practice. Every session was meticulously tracked, from shooting percentages to scrimmage efficiency. They put up the stats after every practice, she explained. At first, it seemed tedious, but I realized it was the perfect tool to hold myself accountable and see real progress. Watching her numbers improve, Hull found not only validation for her work, but also the confidence to trust her instincts during games. Her perseverance extended. Beyond physical training, the mental game, Hull recognized, was equally important. Transitioning from college stardom to professional bench player had been humbling, and the constant scrutiny of fans and media added pressure. But instead of succumbing to doubt, Hull focused on what she could control: her effort, preparation, and attitude. Staying ready was crucial. Hull reflected, "Even when I didn't have minutes, I treated every practice like a game. I wanted to make sure that when my chance came, I could take full advantage." That dedication paid off. As the season progressed, Hull earned more playing time, gradually moving from the end of the bench to a central role in the Fever's offense. Confidence surged with each game, reflected in both her stat line and her on-court decision-making. Hull was no longer reacting to opportunities. She was creating them, finding open spaces, making smart cuts, and connecting seamlessly with teammates. Clark's presence amplified this effect. Playing alongside a visionary like Clark allowed Hull to see the game in ways she hadn't before. Defenses shifted and collapsed toward Clark, creating open lanes and passing angles for Hull to exploit. Every assist, every screen, and every fast break became a chance to execute plays that were once impossible. I remember the first time Caitlin threaded a pass all the way across the court to me. Hull laughed. I was stunned. It took a second to process that this was real and that I had the opportunity to make a big play. From that moment, I knew I had to be ready every time the ball came my way. Hull's revival was not only about scoring or statistics, it was about reclaiming her sense of purpose and confidence. The combination of her dedication, skill refinement, and Clark's facilitation transformed Hull from a sidelined prospect into a pivotal contributor. She became the player the Fever had envisioned when they drafted her, a player capable of influencing games, energizing teammates, and helping turn a struggling franchise into a legitimate contender. The journey was a testament to patience, resilience, and the belief that preparation meets opportunity. Lexie Hull's personal revival was more than a comeback. It was a statement. Talent alone isn't enough, but dedication, intelligence, and perseverance can change the trajectory of a career. The Indiana Fever's revival in 2024 was not limited to X's and O's on the court. Just as important as Hull's personal resurgence was the evolution of the team's culture, chemistry, and connection with fans. Off the court, the Fever underwent a transformation that mirrored their on-court energy, turning a once struggling franchise into one of the most talked about teams in the league. One of the most noticeable shifts was the atmosphere in practice and the locker room. Caitlin Clark's leadership extended beyond game strategy. She instilled a culture of accountability and fun, encouraging players to challenge each other while supporting one another. Scrimmages became intense battles, but there were also opportunities to grow together. Mistakes were met with immediate feedback, not criticism, and success was celebrated collectively. Hull reflected on how this culture influenced her performance. Being part of a team that believes in each other changes everything, she said. We never turned on each other. Even when things were tough, we stayed unified. That trust allowed me to play with confidence and focus on improving every day. Team rituals off the court also helped forge stronger bonds. Simple traditions, like Hull and Erica Wheeler swapping outfits before games, became a way to lighten the mood and build camaraderie. These small moments reinforced a sense of family and connectedness, reminding players that basketball was not just a profession but a shared passion. The Fever's connection with fans also shifted dramatically. Where once home games felt sparsely attended, the 2024 season saw arenas packed with energy and enthusiasm. The team's improved performance, combined with Hull and Clark's star power, energized a fan base that had long been craving excitement. Social media amplified the resurgence, with clips, highlights, and fan reactions creating a new level of visibility and engagement. Walking through Indianapolis now is a different experience, Hull said. Fans recognize you, they cheer, and it feels like they're part of the journey. It's motivating and humbling at the same time. This renewed connection between players and community was not accidental. The Fever organization embraced outreach, engagement, and visibility, ensuring that fans could see the players not just as athletes but as leaders, personalities, and role models. The combination of competitive intensity on the court and relatability often created a synergy that amplified the team's momentum. For Hull and her teammates, the transformation was both practical and psychological. Players who once doubted themselves now felt empowered to take risks, make plays, and trust each other. Confidence became contagious, and the sense of unity created a foundation that translated directly into better performance on the court. The Fever's off-court transformation demonstrated a powerful truth. Success in professional sports is never just about individual talent. It is about environment, culture, and shared belief. For Lexie Hull, this culture gave her the freedom to flourish, both as a player and as a leader, reinforcing the idea that a team's collective strength can elevate every individual within it. As the season progressed, this combination of personal growth, leadership, and team culture set the stage for the Fever to not only compete but to challenge expectations, proving that a holistic approach to development on and off the court can create lasting success. The Fever's rise energized Indianapolis. Once quiet arenas were now sold out, and fans cheered like every game was a playoff. Social media buzzed with highlights and praise, creating a community around the team. For Hull, the support was tangible. Walking through the city, seeing fans cheer, it's motivating and humbling, she said. The team wasn't just playing for themselves, they were playing for the city, their fans, and a renewed sense of purpose. With Caitlin Clark leading Lexie Hull, thriving, and teammates like Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston stepping up, the Fever aren't just contenders, they're a force. The journey from a struggling franchise to a team with identity and momentum shows the power of resilience, preparation, and teamwork. The only question now, how far can this group go? For Hull, the message is clear: stay ready, trust the process, and seize every opportunity.